My wife has been texting me saying that I'm laughing way too loud about talking about people who murder other people.
I thought she was gone.
I was actually thinking that myself.
No, my kids are gone. My wife is here.
Sometimes you have to find the humor in life.
Yep.
Even if it's
way
people.
too excited about the serial killers. But.
Did you like give them to the grandparents or throw them in a dumpster?
Yes.
Or
Well,
what did you do with your
because
children?
it's like we're not going out for Valentine's Day because everything is like closed. So we're going out on Tuesday. So, but here's the thing: this is her fault because last night she was watching these weird videos of this woman who like puts on makeup while she talks about serial killers, and so like I got super excited about Toy Box because like she talked about Toy Box. So like, hey.
Ooh.
I think we might get into that here.
Yeah, we got
top five
spicy top
serial
five
killers.
It's a top five that we are all pretty into because we're weirdos and we like serial killers. Even Piano Man is trying to pretend like he doesn't really have a top five.
I mean, I just found out.
You earlier today you were
four of these people and we just recorded it, but.
Yeah, but you're going to go listen to podcasts about him now.
We can let him go first.
Or at least read about him.
I doubt it.
Well, Piano Man was trying to pretend like he didn't really know anything. He was like, oh, I don't know. It's going to be hard for me to come up with the top five serial killers. And I'm like, yeah, you just
wait till you hear my number 5.
It's not hard. There's so many to choose from. Okay,
number 5, Dick Cheney.
Let's...
Pretty close. Pretty close.
That actually, I would accept that as a.
Is it?
I would accept that as a top 5 serial killers answer.
Can I guess? Is it HRC?
No. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh. Clinton body count.
It might be a duo.
Oh man. Okay, so let's have JBM.
Okay.
Top 5. And
all right.
A brief rationale. Let's go.
A brief rationale. Number 5, H.H. Holmes, the OG, the first American serial killer, at least of the high standards. This man was a millionaire. The World's Fair in 1913, he erected a hotel, and in the second floor of the 3-story building was just dedicated to murder. There was secret compartments and hallways that went to nowhere. Doors that didn't open, vents that let in gas to knock people out. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. Number 4, Charles Ng.
The details you just gave, the crazier it got.
Dude, it's so insane. Really it's
I'm
so
telling you
crazy.
guys, it's Walker. Read Devil in the White City.
Devil in the White City is like the definitive
what city is
book
this?
about this. Yeah.
Chicago.
So
people think, including his family members, think that he didn't actually die, that his death was faked, and he moved to England and became Jack the Ripper. Charles Ng and...
that theory is a little bit more... but yeah.
I don't know. Somebody had to be Jack the Ripper, and we don't know who it was. My number 4 is Charles Ng and Leonard Lake. These two dudes met in prison, and they were like, hey, I like to kill people. They read a book, or Leonard Lake had, called The Collector. And in it was Project Miranda, where the whole concept was that they would abduct a woman and make her their slave, and that she would do whatever they said. They tried this many times. It never worked out. They killed men, women. They killed some babies. The story is super crazy. But long story short, they ended up caught. Charles Ng is still alive. I have written him letters. No, I'm just kidding. But he is alive. His case is the largest case in California history. His case is the largest case file in California history.
They read a book or they wrote a book?
They read it.
Oh, they read.
They obsessively read this.
Obsessively. Number 3.
And the book is about like holding women captive and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very leading book. Ooh.
Yeah.
Number 3, John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown, literally. Super messed up, kind of a upstanding citizen in society, similar to a BTK situation. And he was a clown. Like, literally dressed up as a clown with square cuts on his smile instead of circle. total freak, buried like 30 bodies under his house. When the police came, because they suspected him, he invited them in, had coffee with them at the table, didn't worry about it at all. They caught him because one of the guys went to the bathroom, and when he flushed the toilet, he could smell the decomposition, and that was when they got him. Number 2, Robert Pickton, the pig farmer, Willie Pickton. Wait,
somebody smelled composition and knew what they were like. That must be a dead body.
Well, they smelled it. Yeah, because they've been around dead bodies before. They're police. So they flushed the toilet and they smelled it.
30 dead bodies under his house. Yeah.
And then he tried to flood his crawl space because he thought that they would just not look if it was flooded, which is hilarious. But they looked. Number 2 was Robert Pickton, Willie Pickton of Canada, multi-millionaire pig farmer, would abduct women, mostly prostitutes, took them back, killed them, had his pigs eat them, bone and all, so there was no way to track it. And then eventually he got someone that wasn't a prostitute, that was actually like a real person, and that'll bring you down. You know what? I'm not even going to clarify that. Everybody knows what I mean.
Like Carol Baskin, but with the pigs.
Yes, except this girl did not go to FC. And then number 1, Theodore Bundy. This man escaped federal custody twice. Once by jumping out the window of a courthouse library. Once by losing so much weight that he could fit through a vent in the ceiling of his cell. Literally defended himself in prison. One of the iconic photos of all time. Total crazy man, rock star, if you will, serial killer that commanded the attention of the American public for a long time. When Ted Bundy was executed, it was called the Bundy Barbecue. People sold shirts. They were giving away free fries. Free fries when Bundy fries. Florida was wild with it. So those are my top.
He looks just like Zac Efron, too.
Still is wild, by the way.
True. Those are my top 5 for the moment. I got a couple what ifs at the end, but I'll pass it along to Preacher Paul.
That was pretty good, right? Are you still going to give him a point for that one?
Yeah,
I get another point. Let's go. Let's go.
2 points. Give him 2 points for 2 reads.
He can keep his point. Yep. All right, Midnight Mark, top 5. Let's go.
All right, man. So number 1 on my list here is BTK, blind, torture, killed, Dennis Rader. I mean, this guy killed like 7 people, and then he waited like 14 years, and then he killed 3 more. And he would write letters to the police, and they just stopped. And he killed more people, and he started writing letters again. And as we were talking about before, it's just really funny because like he probably never would have got caught, but he just kept writing these letters, and he tipped the police officers off like way too much, and he got caught like simply due to his own negligence. He was trying to be like Zodiac, like a better version of the Zodiac, and like maybe he could have, but like.
I mean, to be fair, maybe he was.
They did never get Zodiac, though, did they?
He could have been the Zodiac.
Or did they?
Yeah. I mean,
or did they? We'll come back to this.
Ooh. Number 2. So, like I have mentioned, not necessarily sure if he fits in like efficiency as serial killers. Like some people think maybe he's never been killed anyone. I don't believe that. I think he has just enough. There's enough stories of him like burying people in his backyard. But when I heard this podcast and I listened to this story, I was like just in so much shock that it was real. And that is David Parker Ray, the toy box killer.
Wolf.
The man.
Oh, speaking of Wolf, what about his German Shepherd?
Oh,
Wolf.
No. We're not going to get
talk
into
about that on this podcast.
No.
This is not. This podcast is over. If we
no, we're not talking about the baseball. So,
go Red Sox.
All right. So, like, his wife left him because he was crazy, right? Then he met the woman of his dreams. This woman allowed him to create a trailer where he would abduct women, take them to his trailer, play like a 15-minute video of all the things he was going to do and like just mess with their minds. And he messed with them so much that there were some women that he let go that forgot about it because they purged it out of their mind. Like during his trial, they were finding all these women, and they one of the main witnesses, she had to like remember all this stuff because I don't know, it's just crazy.
It was a setup. He was innocent.
Yeah, but he wouldn't even kill them.
Well, and it just goes to show you, if for all the single listeners out there, if you think you'll never find someone who understands you, there's a glove for David Parker Ray found his match.
So here's the deal. They had another dude that helped them too. And when they all got arrested, he was like, I'll show you where the bodies are. And he took them to like more than one place where there was supposed to be a body. And he's like, what the heck? So David Parker Ray had this guy help him bury bodies, and then he would go back and move them.
Yep. Yeah.
After the fact.
I mean, he knew what he was doing, man. Next
top 5
was Donald Pee Wee Gaskins. It's the hitchhike killer. They think he's killed like a little over 90 people, but like almost confirmed around 80. And like his 81st that he confessed to wasn't even a confession. He was on death row with a bunch of other death row inmates, and he killed somebody on death row just because he likes killing people. I mean, the man, he was good at what he loved.
Dedication to the craft.
Which was murdering.
You know how he killed this guy on death row?
I don't know. No, I need to look that up. I can't remember.
Probably
but
stabbed him with a toothbrush.
I'll look it up.
He started confessing to all these random murders. He said he killed like 400 people. His book is pretty wild. But like he like staged. He'd be like, "Yeah, I'll show you where the bodies are," and then he'd go out there, and there'd be like a pickup truck waiting to try and like pick him up so he could get out of there. It was crazy.
Yeah, dude. But he really did. He wasn't like the Henry Lee Lucas who only killed like 2 or 3 people and confessed all the murders. Like he killed a ton.
Don't take that credit away from Henry Lee Lucas.
Whatever. My next one was I had one, but I'm gonna scrap him.
He worked hard for
it. I'm done. I had him on my list, but I'm gonna take him off because I have to include my man Gary Ridgway. I mean, the dude was just efficient as
the most boring serial killer, but so efficient.
Super efficient. He led this like regular life. He had a family. He went to church. He was just a normal dude. And then they found out he killed 48 people and dumped them in the river just over the course of his life. And guess what? He avoided the death penalty because he was like, I'll show you where everybody is. And just kind of like led the cops around for a long time, just hanging out. Like
little known fact, Ted Bundy helped them catch the Green River Killer.
A lot of people thought that Ted Bundy was the Green River Killer, which is part of why he was so efficient.
When Bundy was in prison, they were like, one of the lead detective who ended up catching the guy was like, how do we catch this dude? And he was like, he's going to revisit the sites. And then they got him.
They did. I know. That's Silence of the Lambs. That's why we have that movie. And then, last one, Nanny Doss. I just found this story like crazy interesting. I looked up a bunch of like female serial killers, most of which are like nurses or caregivers who killed like the people who they were caring. Then you have Eileen Wuornos who like, I don't know, whatever. That story's dumb.
One of a kind.
This woman, however, was married 4 times. She killed all 4 of her husbands, and she killed all of her children. Just got away with it. Like
so she was a feminist.
Yeah. She just was a strong, independent woman. She would poison her family.
Icon.
And basically just say they got sick. And it was in the time period, like between the 20s and 40s, where people just like believed her. And then they found out that, like, I mean, after husband number 4 goes down, I think there's something up. But I found her story super interesting because she was just considered to be this woman who had like this super hard life and a bunch of marriages, and all her husbands died, and like her kids were sick all the time. It turns out she was just murdering.
I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was, but if you look back at the history of this country, it seems like pre-World War II, you could get away with literally almost anything. Like, if you were getting caught for crimes way back in the day, like, you were a very...
I mean, here's the deal. You think she's wild. You check out Bella Gunnis sometime. This woman, she did, like, the same thing.
Yeah.
And she was burying him. She was letting the pigs eat him, too. But she was Willie Picton ahead of his time.
When was that, though?
Late 1800s, early 1900s.
That's what I liked about Nanny, though, because she was doing it, like, into the 40s. It's a little bit more recent. So I was like, this is crazy.
Check out the last piece of this puzzle.
Yeah.
They announced that Bella Gunnis was dead, but the body, they said she killed herself. Burned her, they found her body beheaded. Her body beheaded. The body was like 6 inches taller than her. This woman escaped. She faked her death and went on, I'm sure, to continue to enjoy her life.
Hey.
And some say she's still alive today. She's 217 years old.
About my man Gary. Gary is a little bit, like, boring. But the thing about Gary that is so great is he's kind of like the Forrest Gump of it all. Like, he was efficient because Ted Bundy and all these other people kept getting on the news. So he was just like, woo, like, I'm going to just keep doing my thing, you know? So, and then he ended up getting caught.
That is almost too.
And then there's Samuel Little, the Martin Luther King. No, I'm just kidding. But
Dump.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Dump
Did he just lose a point? Did he just lose a point?
Lose a point. Oh
no, I gained 2 points. I gained 2 points for that.
JBM lost his point. No, that's going to be played back at some point. At some point in our future, someone will play that back. You stand by this comment about Samuel Little being the same as Martin Luther King, and we'll all have to be like, yeah, it was a joke.
It was funny. A debate. That's what I'll do. I'll quote Kamala Harris.
It was a debate.
It was a debate. We don't mean things we say when we're debating. All right, Piano Man. Top 5 as you're getting rid of JBM's hard-earned point. And maybe give Midnight Mark one, too, just to spite him. But what's your top 5,
so
Piano Man?
Number 5 is a duo. Crime duo. Duo of the century. The Clintons.
Richard Nixon and Henry Kissinger.
Number 5. Best serial killers of our time. They might not have done it with their own bare hands.
They're efficient. They've never been caught.
They hired the likes of Melania Trump to take care of their dirty work.
They're still getting elected.
If you only knew the body count that was attached to these two. Worse than any Charles Ng and Leonard Lake. Patriots.
I mean, they're still getting elected to this day. That's how likable serial killers can be. All right. Number 4, the Golden State Killer. The only reason I pick him is because he got caught in a cool way.
He did get caught in a cool way.
Through his, like, DNA, like, ancestry. They found relatives, and they're like, well, let's check everyone out. And then they nabbed him after 30 years of him not doing anything. Or I don't know actually how long, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Number 3, already been mentioned, Ted Bundy, just because all the hoopla surrounding the dude. And the fact that he escaped prison as like a notorious killer. I don't know. I just feel like that makes it epic.
He really did. He looked at the bars in his cell and was like, you know what? If I slim up, I could fit.
Dude, Ted Bundy, the Tom Brady of serial killers.
Number 2, BTK, already been mentioned as well. I just remember being a kid when BTK was going ham. Or when he made his comeback, I guess. And my dad
he wasn't going ham when
BTK. He's on the loose. And then when they found him, it was kind of cool too. And then number 1, my man, although not actually, because he's never been caught, but he still has a moniker, the Zodiac. Because he's a cryptographer.
Zodiac.
Maybe they caught him.
Dude, the Zodiac and Dennis Rader are the same guy.
If I was gonna be a serial killer, I would be like Zodiac. I almost said BTK. I would not be like BTK. I would be like the Zodiac.
Yeah, BTK took so much time. It's like another level. Yeah, so real quick, let me give you the rundown of people who missed the list. Most notably,
Paul.
wait, is Preacher? Are you doing one? Oh,
Yeah,
bring
I
it.
did have a top 5.
Bring the
I mean,
sauce.
mine. I didn't really know how to quantify it because I'm like, what do we mean when we say a good serial killer, right? So, like, for my top
An
5,
elder.
I went Gary Ridgway because, yeah, I mean, one who we respect and look up to as a practitioner of the craft. I had Gary Ridgway in number 5 because huge body count, cannot beat him for efficiency. The man was good at what he did. All right, and he stayed in one location too, and they could never really catch him. So that's interesting. Now I had Ted Bundy at number 4. You guys already hit Ted Bundy, big movie star serial killer, made our idea of what a serial killer is, so that he obviously should be in the top 5. At number 3, I had Carl Panzram. If you guys ever want to, because here's the thing, Carl Panzram doesn't have that impressive of a body count. It's actually, they don't really know exactly how many people he killed, but he killed people all over the world.
Yeah.
Like, this man traveled the world in early 20th century, and was killing people. And he wrote these letters.
Panzram is in my
he's
in my honorables. Yeah.
Is he the ice pick?
Like, if you want some
Or is that a different guy?
no, that's
Yes.
Yeah,
but
Kuklinski, yeah.
Panzram is they're kind of similar though in that they just killed whoever for whatever reason, basically. But Carl Panzram, he wrote these letters where he talked in very epic, it's like doom metal lyrics where he's describing his kills. Number 2, I had Richard Chase, just for pure fearsomeness and goriness. Nobody was more unhinged or terrifying in their prime, I feel like, than Richard Chase, because he literally didn't even know he was killing people. He was just on a berserker, dissociating and bathing in people's blood. And then number 1, I had Israel Keys, because here's the thing. I don't like Israel Keys, personality-wise, as a serial killer. His story isn't even really that interesting because they don't know that much. But what I think is so fascinating about him is his system that he had worked out. He had made a system of this. He had quite a bit of money to play with, and so he would fly to different locations in the country. He would then rent a car, 7 miles to some other location, pick up somebody, drive them another 500 miles in some other direction, kill them, dump their bodies, then go to a different airport and fly back home.
How did this guy get caught?
Bury kill kits in
Probably because he was driving around with
ahead of
bodies in his trunk for hundreds of miles.
I can't remember exactly how he got caught, but the FBI was involved. But anyway, there are videos where they interview him where he talks about this. And I hadn't researched it that recently, so I can't remember exactly how he goes down. But the whole system, and they don't know exactly how many people he killed, but he's suspected in a lot of unsolved cases.
I'm going to
that
let
was
you
my
get
top
to
five.
your list, JBM, but
gonna have
no
some
love for
honorable
Dahmer by any
That's my number 1. How did no one say Dahmer?
I almost put
Jeffrey Dahmer?
I thought you gave your list.
Dahmer is great. What's great about Dahmer is that
These are the reserve
that
list.
one time he had that
The Filipino boy that escaped?
He had that one of Dahmer's victims. He injected acid into his brain, and it immediately messed the kid up. But the kid wandered out of his apartment and onto the street, and neighbors called the cops, and the cops came. And Jeffrey Dahmer goes down and totally talks his way out of the situation. He says, he's just my friend.
He had too
We're
much to
hanging out."
drink.
And the cops were like, we don't want to. The cops were like, we don't want to deal with these gays.
That's literally what
And they were out
happened.
of there.
So that
And
is
then-
what happened.
And that was it.
Milwaukee was
That was
wild.
all. And I
If
was
they
like-
would have just
I was
gone
like,
to
that
his
is one of the
apartment,
most
they would have seen
baller-
severed heads.
What's crazy about Dahmer is he did this in an
Yeah.
apartment.
Yes.
There were people living next door and above him and below him, and he was just slicing
Sawing
dudes
people
up.
It's just what there must have been there must have been such a culture of just like, don't ask any questions, keep your eyes down in that building. Like, what was going on in that building that no one was like, bro, weird smells coming out of your apartment.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Here's a couple others that we did not mention. Wayne Edwards, maybe the Zodiac. His story is wild. I listened to a little podcast on it. It was like 7 episodes. Fantastic. But like he used to watch specials of the Zodiac with his family, and he'd be like, "That's not how it happened." Like the creepiest stuff ever. Like it's super weird. But he got caught later in life for his daughter like looked up all the places they had lived because they moved a lot. They moved like every year at least once, and she was like, "Wait a second, there's people that died here. Wait, there's people that died here. There's people that died here. This is right before we moved." Kind of crazy. And then very briefly, 2 great nickname killers. Randy Stephen Kraft, the scorecard killer. When they finally caught him underneath the floor, the mat on his floorboard of his car, they found a scorecard that said he had killed 66 people, and they all had different names, but they only ever confirmed 20-some of them. And then, last but not least, another guy I listened to a pretty cool series on, Rodney Alcala, the dating game killer. This dude was literally on the TV show The Dating Game, and he won. He won the TV show, nationally televised show. And then they found out several years later that
he was creepy on The Dating Game too.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that was
but
kind
he
of
had like at that point he had already killed a couple women, and then he killed a few more. Just kind of wild that somebody like. Can you imagine if Who Wants to Be a Millionaire's winner was like a serial killer?
Yeah, I mean, this guy didn't just like crack. He had already killed people, and then he won the game show, and then he went and killed some more.
Yeah. Well, that was a long top 5, but it's only because
I could go for another hour.
Only because we're passionate.
I could do it.
I know, but we do have some. We've got some good questions tonight, so we should get to those. So, first question. This is from Piano Man. It has to do with Tesla and some things I don't fully understand, but I'll let him explain and give some context. My understanding is Tesla is using their reserve cash. So the question is Tesla smart to use their reserve cash to buy up Bitcoin? So is Tesla's basically trying to be like Lord of the Rings, just sitting on a giant pile of Bitcoin, basically, right?
Well, I mean, I guess you could look at it that way, or would they be smart rather sitting on a large pile of cash, which is like the same as smog as well, right? But I guess the question is it smart for people with huge reserves of cash? Because a lot of companies, especially like Apple, have these just gigantic stacks that they sit on waiting for a new acquisition. But instead of just sitting on a huge stack, putting it towards something that's not inflationary but instead deflationary. Today they put in 1.5, or not today, but they announced that they put in 1.5 billion into Bitcoin of their stack. And is that a smart move for companies to do that rather than sitting on cash? So I guess that's the question.
I mean, makes sense to me. What do you guys think?
I mean, it's about as reliable as putting your money into federal notes from the U.S. government. Maybe more so, especially with what I think is going to happen over the next few years with inflation here. It's definitely interesting, but after they did it, I read articles about how Apple might be next to do the same thing, and it seems like it certainly felt like the Bitcoin boom of this, last few months or whatever was kind of coming to an end, and then it kind of ramped back up, and this certainly contributed to it in a major way. Bitcoin surged today. What, like 20%, or maybe not quite 20%, but it was a lot. It blasted off after this, which is like to happen after 1.5 billion gets injected into it. But
I always think it's funny people say that though, like after it's up 900% over the year. But yeah, that's fine.
What?
Bitcoin's up 900% since like about a year ago.
Yeah, but it's up like 20% today after Tesla announced this. That wasn't going to happen without Tesla. Not today.
Yeah, I guess not.
Right? Do you not agree?
I don't know. I'm not
I
afraid
mean, Elon made Dogecoin go up like 1,000%.
For just a tweet.
He just has a lot of power over random stuff.
Which, by the way, Dogecoin, that's how you make your money on the weekend. Plug your money into Dogecoin.
I don't see what, like,
not a financial advisor. But
what's the topic here? Like, is it a big deal that they put the reserve cash into like one fund? Is that what you're trying to ask?
Well,
Was it a big deal that it's going into something that it's not a widely accepted form by like financial institutions? Financial institutions aren't really pro Bitcoin, and so you're seeing something like Tesla put their reserve cash. So the United States government obviously wants you to have your reserve cash in cash because it gives it more liability. But you're seeing companies put it instead of cash into Bitcoin, which even devalues the dollar further. So is it a big deal, I guess, that they've done this?
No.
Is it smart for them to do it?
I mean, if you look at the trend over the years, I mean, it's definitely smart. I mean, Bitcoin, a year ago was like 4,000, and now it's 47,000. It's gone down a lot, but it's gone up a lot. It's well over double its max of 2017, 2018. So I think from like an investment standpoint, I mean, crypto outpaces the stock market and has even when it kind of had, its downs. But I think
I don't know if I would say crypto did, but definitely Bitcoin did.
No, it definitely outpaced it downs because it outpaced it downward.
But point is, like, I feel like, I don't know, I was kind of on that as well. Like a couple years ago, it got real high and then it tanked real low. And my whole thing was like, until people aren't seeing this as like a get rich quick scheme, until people see Bitcoin as the commodity that it is and like actually understand how it works, right? And I think this is the step. Like these people are saying Bitcoin is not like you put $100 in and hope it goes up 900%. Bitcoin is like something real to use. There is an actual, real, tangible, almost value to this thing. And I think that's the bigger deal because it actually makes that 47,000 sustainable rather than last time when it got to 20,000 and it got all the way down to 3. I don't see it going down like this. Yeah. Like it might go down, but is it going to go down like it did again? I don't think so because I think this kind of investment proves the point of Bitcoin more than what people thought it was when they were just like getting rich quick. So that's my thing.
Yeah, if companies are treating it like it's permanent, everybody's gonna start seeing it that way. Yeah.
But that's why it tanks so hard because the majority of people who put their money into it just stopped believing in it.
Yeah, but do you guys think like this is a step for its perception? Like, so people have always equated it to the tulip bulb mania of the Netherlands, where there was a certain type of flower that was rare. People traded it back and forth till it got some really ridiculous value, and then tulips just dropped in value, and it was like the most classic pump and dump ever, right? So people have always equated Bitcoin to that.
I mean, ultimately, here's what it
was that I think.
No company in the Netherlands was putting their cash, their euro, whatever you.
I mean, I think you could argue it was that when it got to 20,000 and then went down to 3. Like you could argue
no company was ever putting their money into tulips in the Netherlands at the time. So,
I mean, here's the thing. Like, so to answer that question, yes. Like, it's definitely a huge step for Bitcoin, for Bitcoin believers, for people that, are like, hey, this is like our new currency. I think the only thing that would ever stop Bitcoin is somehow governments of the world decide this is crap and we're going to somehow shut this down. That is the only possible thing. And they really don't have the power to do it, but if somehow they pressured corporations to not accept it as a currency, that could be an issue. That's literally the only possible thing.
I saw the other day, though, India is making a federal crypto coin. So I'm like, that's the first big nation I've seen try to get into the game. So that seems like they're treating it like it's a thing. But that probably also means it's old news.
Well, China and Russia have also banned it. It's like a running joke with Bitcoin enthusiasts that countries ban Bitcoin. Because, like, actually nothing can stop Bitcoin is kind of the joke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty of it. So, I mean...
Yeah.
The United Nations.
I mean, to me, I don't care what the value ends up being. Like, Bitcoin itself is, like, more of a value to me than any kind of government regulation. But, all right, we can move on.
It's a good point.
Right. All right. Well, good topic. I'm really excited for this next one. This was one that JBM... Actually, the next two are going to be JBM topics, and he did good this week. I think these... one of a few weeks in the past, but we just haven't gotten around to asking it. The first one is... it has to do with conspiracies. Conspiracy theories. If you could know everything there is to know about one conspiracy, what would it be? Or one conspiracy theory? It could be that you get all the knowledge and it turns out it's not a conspiracy. That's something else to consider too. I don't know.
Wait, say that one more time?
Just being the Anderson Cooper here instead of Alex Jones for a second.
You're gay?
You get all the knowledge there is to know about this. No. You get all the knowledge there is about this subject matter, and so like if you say, it's stupid anyway. I was just saying that like something to consider is that it may be that your conspiracy theory is not a conspiracy.
But you would actually know the truth.
You know that when you get this knowledge.
Well, JBM, you up?
So what I'm basically saying is, make sure you know it's a real
JBM.
conspiracy. I don't know, or whatever you want to do. So
You want some points?
JBM,
You don't want to start with me?
What would you pick?
No,
Oh,
I
man.
wanted to say, hold up. Did you write down, when we texted about this, did you write down what you...
I haven't. You know what? I'm gonna send it to Paul right this moment.
Or just think about it. If it's right, it's right. We'll believe you. Just go ahead. Go ahead with yours.
Go.
All right.
Good.
Mine, so there was some debate. I won't get into what the debates were because y'all probably picked some of them. Man, I want to know what's the deal with Pizzagate / Jeffrey Epstein. We know nothing. Like, we almost know nothing, which is incredible. With the amount of people that were allegedly in some way involved with this, that are powerful, that are extremely famous. Like, what the heck? There's got to be something there. I'm not saying everything everybody said was true, but there is something there. With Epstein and how he, like, rose to his insane wealth. And no one really even understands how that happened. They kind of do, but not really. I mean, the people he was involved with and had regular interactions with, from presidents, literally presidents of the United States of America, to actors and senators and just some extremely influential, famous people, business moguls. I mean, and we don't know anything. Like, hardly at all, other than, like, the flight logs that said people's names. That's it. It's crazy.
Clinton wasn't a fan of...
Free Ghislaine, she's just a patsy. I'll go ahead and give JB another point for that. And Piano Man, give yourself a point, too, for being awesome in the last segment. But, yeah. All right. Epstein
Clinton
is a big...
didn't like traveling with Epstein for the girls. He liked traveling with him because he knew he could kill some people.
Ooh.
Hot take.
You'll get
Double-
the girls. I
double
get
win.
the kill.
It's like a double stuffed Oreo.
That's the twist, is that Bill was never even really in it for the girls.
Dude,
He just
Jeffrey
loves the
Epstein
killing.
got killed not because of the sex traffic, but because he was going to rat on the greatest serial killer of all time.
Bro, how did I get a point and I went down?
No, you went up.
2 points.
Oh, shoot. I thought I was down.
You're a -1 for
I was
getting
negative.
the list.
These points are hard to come by.
I think Preacher Paul's talking. Midnight Mark, go ahead and give your answer. I think he's.
Well, I mean, for me, it's simple, man. It's JFK. Like, there's so much stuff about it. There's so many theories about it. If I could know everything, because here's the thing: if even one of the crazy conspiracies are true, it's one of the craziest confirmed stories ever. Because then we would find out like how the CIA is involved. We find out like the plot to kill the president. We find out like how, like I'd be able to know how the government covered that up from start to finish. And regardless
if they did,
regardless, or I'd like to know whether or not it really was just like this dude went crazy and killed the president, you know? Like I would accept either way. I just want to know. But the thing is, if it is one of the 16 like hardline conspiracies about it, either way, if any of those are true, we know how like messed up the government is, like proof wise, like killing the president. Like to me, that's it. So
if you really want to know how messed up they are, there might be one more conspiracy. I'm sure it will come up.
I just that one is just crazy to me because like
it is.
You know what I mean? Like Lincoln, like dude came in, shot him in the head. There's probably more to it than that, but it's pretty straightforward in that regard, right? This whole thing.
You're gonna bring up.
I'm just saying.
I mean, there was.
They
actually
don't even
a whole
know if like
conspiracy
that guy like actually. You know what I mean? Like it's so deep conspiracy-wise that like you said with Jeffrey Epstein, if you really think about it, we don't know anything about JFK's death, like nothing, other than that he did die.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's
true.
Mine.
He did die.
Good answer. Makes sense. Piano Man, go ahead.
All right. First of all, before I give my answer or my question or answer, whatever.
This is how I know I'm right.
I have to apologize to the podcast and to my family and friends who are listening to this. All right. The conspiracy I wish I could know was really 100% true is that Jesus died and rose from the dead.
I got it right! I'm texting that! Confirm!
Did I see that?
Yeah, JBM
Yes!
did text me that, but he did it in such a way which made me think that he didn't want to say it on the podcast. But I mean, I get that. That makes sense because if it's not true, then it is by definition like the OG conspiracy.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm like 99% sure it happened, but there will always be 1% sure. I just will never know. If I go to hell because of that, I'm sorry, God. Like I deserve
Look,
that's silly.
So like,
if I could know anything was 100% true, it would be that.
No, that
Even
makes
though I
sense.
believe it.
I respect that.
you know, Thomas Jefferson?
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson, the goat of goats when it comes to the American founding fathers, he encouraged his nephews, his children, to question God because he thought that would make them stronger. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, obviously, like if you really could know one thing, how important would that be to get all that information? Then you could actually like share it. Like that's huge. I'm with that.
Yeah. No.
I knew it. I knew it.
Honestly, that answer kind of makes me want to change my answer. I mean, because it is kind of the biggest question. If that's the way you want to approach this question, I mean, I don't know if I actually I don't know. That's one to think about. If I would actually want to get that answer.
The real debate is whether or not that's like a conspiracy, you know.
But
yeah, I mean, that's definitely taking it outside the bounds
it's
of what I was.
Definitely conspiracy theory.
Even like half the people didn't believe that that it happened. Like the apostles didn't even necessarily believe it really happened.
That's true.
Yeah.
They had to like see it themselves.
It was a conspiracy theory in the Bible. Holy crap!
Yeah, exactly. See,
there you go.
Okay,
right.
so here was the way I took this. My answer was 9/11, and my thinking here is this: like I thought about JFK, and I respect Midnight Mark's rationale for wanting to know JFK, but at the same time, like when I thought about it, I was like, I have a pretty good idea that there was some kind of government involvement there. I think there's more to the story than we've been told. Really, beyond that, the specifics are not super important in that case, other than just it shows that they're willing to do this kind of thing. Which, even if you didn't have the JFK assassination, you have like Operation Northwoods and stuff, which is a whole other can of worms, where our government was going to fake terrorist attacks to get us into a war with Cuba. So that's a real thing.
But that would all encompass it. You know what I mean? That's kind of my point. Yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying is, like, I suspect I'm reasonably sure that there was something that the conspiracy theorists are right about JFK, and I'm just going to let that be. And then, like, when you think about stuff like the moon landing that people talk about, I just don't care about that enough to go down that route because it doesn't seem as like morally egregious to me as killing the president or Epstein or whatever. And the same thing with Epstein. I feel like Epstein just worked
Epstein's
for
not morally egregious whatsoever, so I agree with you there.
No.
We should nominate him for the president.
I just said he was morally
great
egregious,
guy. That
but
Epstein.
I'm saying, I mean the conspiracy theory is not the one I want the answers to with Epstein because again, I feel like I basically know what that is more or less. Like Epstein was some kind of agent of the state. He was involved in some kind of spy ring where people were being extorted for information. And I'm like, yeah, it'd be cool to know some answers, but that's what I really want to know is like who knew what when about 9/11? Because like I don't know if you guys had this, but 9/11 happened at a time when I was at an age where it's like burned into my brain. You know, like the footage.
I remember. I actually emailed my teacher, my 6th grade teacher from at 9/11 last year, because I remember she got up and she said, "You will remember where you were when this happened for the rest of your life." And I actually sent her an email and said like that was true. And I mean, I said more than that, but
yeah. I mean, that's just the one where I'm like, that's the one where I go.
It was a good day for me.
We could talk about this off.
Did you go on a hunting trip with Dick Cheney?
You were 11, not 12 then.
Was that the day someone gave you a hot
And
tip?
please welcome our next guest, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I was just gonna make a joke about
so
Piano
right.
Man's in 6th grade and somebody's like, get rid of your American Airlines stock,
Dude. You're so right about 9/11 too, because like, you know, they have the thing where the guy's like, "Where's the plane?" at the Pentagon, and then that video got erased. And,
and
the fact that
and
World
listen,
Trade Center 7 was literally imploded like a demolition. Like,
right? And listen,
Weren't
and
the
I'm
other
not
ones
even,
too?
I'm not even somebody who says that like that there were no terrorist attacks. I'm not somebody who's saying that like I don't want to deny. I don't want to be any crazier about this than I need to be, I guess is the way of saying this. But I do think there are lots of questions about 9/11 that were never answered in a straightforward way. And I just think it sucks, like, that we don't know what happened on that day. You know, something that, like, I feel like changed all of us. And we don't really know why it happened. And worse than that, we all feel like it was used to do other stuff that people wanted to do anyway. And we just feel manipulated. I feel like our whole generation. So I want the answers there.
Even to like the more like I know I joked around about World Trade Center 7, but like even if that building was blown up by the government because it's like the archive building, it's like set to blow if they think there's an attack. You know what I mean? Something that I feel like people in this country could probably accept. Like, hey, this was just something as a fail-safe. We got everybody out. You know, we can't even know that. Like, that's the thing about 9/11 that's so crazy to me is that they can't even come out and say, hey, we did do some of this stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like didn't they just admit like last year that they did actually shoot that plane down? Yeah, give
I don't care.
Listen, yeah. Go ahead, Piano Man.
No, I was just saying I don't care if you don't keep up with the points. He deserves a point for that comment.
No, I'm sorry. I've been having trouble keeping up with the points because I'm not controlling it anymore. But yeah, Midnight Mark does deserve the points for that. No, what? They just now, like last year, didn't they just say that they shot down the plane like United 93? And the story had always been that they brought it down.
Wait,
right?
what? Who just admitted that they shot down the plane? Wait, what?
I thought our government admitted that they shot it down.
Trump just
No,
came
no,
out
it
and
was
like,
no,
whatever.
it was the guy who did the Las Vegas shooting.
He said, "Oh yeah, I shot it down."
Yeah, Trump's I shot it down.
Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
That would
here.
be huge news.
Okay.
Yeah, for United
Well,
93 to have been shot down, like after all
that's
those
always
books,
that's always been the rumor, though.
It has.
Right? I mean, like
the government's never going to admit.
they're never going to admit that the
But see, that's one
Roland
where-
guy
that's one
got
where-
shot down. Never.
But that's one where I actually feel like if enough time passed, the public could totally deal with that.
Let's
Like,
roll is what he said.
you know, I don't know. Anyway, well, I was wrong.
How about some other ones? So I'm reading this book right now about the rocket men, the first men to go to the moon. And literally the first half of the book, I'm like, this is confirming all my suspicions. Y'all know how far Russia was ahead of us for like the entirety of the 60s. They were so far ahead of us that we were like a laughing stock. And then like randomly we're just like, yep, we're going to the moon. And everybody's like, whoa. But like, it's so messed up. They were like eons ahead of us. And like we caught up in like a year. Like the whole thing. It's really
They
weird.
made a movie about the black women who made us
America.
go there.
I did read.
It was the
something
power
other
of
day.
black women that put us there.
Somebody was reviewing the movie First Man or whatever, and their whole thing was about how the reason why this movie is overlooked is because it proves why we haven't been back to the moon, because it goes through how dangerous it is to do that and how dangerous it was, and we just back then we just like didn't care. Like think about the press these days, where if it's like, hey, there's a 10% chance like everybody that we try this on is just gonna die. You know what I mean? People today would not accept that, but back then they were just like whatever. So if you want to say it's possible, that is one of the reasons, because back then we just kind of didn't care.
I think the most realistic situation for the moon is perhaps that we went, but that we completely staged like the footage.
I'm under that impression myself.
Like that seems, I don't know. It is really weird that literally no one else has ever gone to the moon since, and it's been 50 years. No one ever. No one. It's insane.
I thought it happened like
We probably really could get
No.
Marjorie Taylor Greene to come on our podcast.
I thought it happened
Straight
too,
up.
and then we looked it up. Like when we were doing our test episodes a long time ago, we looked this up. No one has been back.
No one has ever gone to the moon except us in 1969. What the
Oh, a
heck?
couple more times.
Yeah.
but-
we might want to move on, but I have another good one. What if we knew the facts about COVID, and like, what if it was totally
I said
from the
that.
beginning, and like
Yeah.
China just like released all this, and the media was in on it? Like, what if
Not
it,
allowed to
I-
say COVID is a hoax.
I said that to Preacher, actually. I said, I really
We
want to know
accept the
this.
science. We
Yeah,
love you, Dr. Fauci. Don't take us off Spotify.
Yeah. I said that to Preacher, though, when we first asked this question. I said, man, I really want to know the truth behind COVID. Because I think, like, in our country, we've made it all about, like, oh, they did this to get Trump. And I think that was
Point
just
for
a
Piano
weapon
Man
of
for
it.
the COVID thing.
Like, at the end of the day, it has to be bigger than Trump. It has to be. And it's at the very least probable and perhaps even likely that this was a China thing, right? Like China's economy, I mean, China actually showed growth this year. Literally no one else did.
Yeah.
That's kind of
And
whack.
That's a long
apparently
term.
Wuhan's one of the most open places in the world. You can do whatever you want there.
Yeah.
I mean, not like politically or socially, but like you can go to the store and breathe the air if you want.
Obama, what we gonna do? Inject him with the Wuhan flu.
I was watching Jeopardy today, and it was like terrible world leaders, and every answer I was like Obama. Oh wait, no. I'm like, why are they never putting Obama on here?
It's like they don't even know who the terrible world leaders are.
Did anyone else ever watch that movie?
Yes.
Borat
I said,
2.
Yes.
Dude,
Oh yeah, Borat too.
That
That
was the best
musical.
part. Yeah.
that was hilarious.
Everybody was so into it.
So last segment we had today, which was another solid one from JBM, and this is something we've been kind of talking about back and forth for a while, and it is America too rich for Jesus? And by that we mean, all that pesky stuff that Jesus said about how it's very difficult to follow his path if you are rich, and how we just kind of don't deal with that in America. So I'll let his thoughts, and then maybe we guess. How big of a problem is it that we have all this wealth in this country?
So, and I don't know how deep we can really get into this, but like, I think this comes back to something we asked a little while back about like wealth and like why the rich don't feel rich, especially in our country. Like there's always someone else that you're chasing. But like, okay, so like as everyone knows that listens to the show, all 20,000 of you, 200, 120 of you, whatever it is.
At least
Past
many
five-
such.
I'm on a reading.
Shout out.
What?
The past 500 shout out.
Past 500. All right, I like that. But I've been on a reading kick. So I just read Leo Tolstoy's The Gospel in Brief, and all he does is talk about like Jesus and Jesus's message. He doesn't mention anything else. There's things he leaves out. He doesn't even go past the resurrection. Like it's just everything like Jesus from that we know from the Gospels from birth until death. And basically the whole book just keeps coming back to Jesus is like, hey, like, give away your stuff, treat people good, help the poor, period. And, I mean, I'd already been thinking about this concept, but, like, in America, literally, like, the average person here is richer than 99.9% of people that ever lived ever. Like, our homeless people are better off than they're probably better off than like 60% of the world. That's a completely arbitrary number. I made it up. But that's how rich we are. Is things are just like so easy to come by. Wealth is immense. Down the street and Jeff Bezos has $1 bajillion or whatever. But at the end of the day, like Jesus' entire message was like, give up what you have and help other people. And it seems like we have hardcore Americanized that teaching into like, make sure you save and have money for you and for your family and for what you care about in the future. And then also like drop a little bit of money in the plate every week. Like the concept of what Jesus taught versus what we do is, I mean, Jesus examples, and I can understand, where people are like, well, this was figurative, but like his examples were like everyone gave up everything they had. Like that's not even remotely what we're doing. Not even remotely. And so I don't know, like are we like was the devil's greatest trick that he was like, America, this is newfound land, like I'm going to make everyone here so wealthy that they and make them think like, oh, this is so prosperous and free that we're going to serve God, but like literally like we're just not doing what was taught. I don't know.
Well, thoughts, Midnight Mark, Piano Man, whoever wants to.
I
go
mean,
first.
I thought you were going to go. So, this is a great question, actually.
I'm gonna go last.
Yeah, this is a great question. This is actually something that, like, I think
gave
about.
JPM 2 points for that.
There you go. Good question.
Yeah, give it to him.
This is actually something I think about, like, more often than, I guess, I don't know. It's my wife and I talk about it too. It's like sometimes I think to myself, what am I doing? Like, why do I care? about like any material, anything, you know? Like, should I just stop and think about doing everything in service to like God? Like, is that what we're supposed to do? Or because the argument, like when you, like I just finished reading Ben Shapiro's new book, and a lot of like his thing is like,
That's a tough read.
Huh? I read it in 2 days, so I don't know. So
We
a
just
lot
got
of
to
like,
take our regularly scheduled shot at Ben Shapiro on this show.
I thought it was fine. I thought it was better than his last book.
That is for sure. I could not finish the last book.
Is he
But
a
like,
good speaker, not writer?
He's a much better radio / podcast host than he is a writer. That is for sure.
Yeah, he's not a great writer, but go ahead.
I mean, I don't read enough books to know that, I guess. So, but a lot of his thing, and I agree with a lot of the stuff that he said in his book, actually. But a lot of like his thing is that you can be as rich as you want. Like, don't stop us or whatever, because if you get rich, you're going to distribute that. But like, I think the point of Jesus and like kind of what you're talking about, JBM, isn't do we get rich and we get to a number, and then once we get to that number, we can give away some of this other stuff. We can help people, like, you know, so and so dentist and rich guy, they're the ones that help the orphans, they're the ones that help the widows. Like, I only make, you know, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. I ain't got time or the money to be helping people. And I think that's what you're saying, man. Like, should we even be rich? Should we even consider that? Like, should we think about, I need to be able to get to a point in my life where I can feed my children, and the rest of my time I'm in service to God and not worrying about money at all. It's tough. It's such a tough question.
But would it be as tough if we did not live in America and we grew up around this teaching that like you're supposed to become like wealthy, independently wealthy, to the point that it's like okay for you to give away? But like that's clearly not the message that was being taught, right? Like it just isn't. And then taking that a step further for our Patreons who follow the entire New Testament as law. Just kidding. But anyway, so like James, right? Like we're supposed to visit the orphans and the widows, right? Do you know anyone that visits orphans?
Yeah, the orphans one is definitely, because my wife and I actually talked about this yesterday, about how, you know, we see stuff on social media of people constantly be like, oh, Christians, they don't blah, 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 blah. But I think that in the widow stuff, I mean, I think you do see that quite a bit, especially if you're paying attention. Like,
if you're a paying customer.
I know that. What?
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of examples of it, but it is something to be said about how, like, I think it's like the 3 of the 4 biggest adoptions agencies are like Christian-based organizations. So, like, the people who care about that really care about it. Does that make sense? So, like,
yeah,
even though you don't necessarily do it, or I don't, or whatever, I mean, right now, maybe we should start, but Christians do a lot of times put their money where their mouth is. Maybe not as a collective whole, but, you know.
Right. But I think, again, that to me, that's part of this question, right? Is we're like, oh, let me throw my money at the problems instead of literally doing like what I'm told to do. Like, I'm told that I'm supposed to visit orphans and widows. But like, instead, it's very easy to be like, oh, well, I gave money to Sacred Selections. But like, that's not the same thing. That's a good thing. It's definitely a good thing. But like, it's not the same. I don't know.
So I have
Piano Man looks like he has thoughts.
I have 2 points that I don't want to conflate here, because I'm at a point in my life where I could literally just give up everything, like do whatever I want, and like give my life totally in service to God, and I don't do that, right? So like that's a shame on me, because I haven't, like, gotten to the point where I can just give up everything to go do that, because I don't know whether it's a lack of belief or whether it's whatever it is in me, right? And so it's not like I deny the faith or whatever, but so I'm at a point where I wish I could just bring every single person to Christ, right? Because I know how much of a positive impact it can make to people who don't believe. Because, like, the foundation of what Jesus believes can make, no matter what situation it is, can make you a better person while you're living here. I know that for a fact. So my opposite argument that I didn't want to conflate with this is the argument of the orphans and widows, and that's where this will sound totally opposite of what I just said, kind of. But it's that I have a problem with the government because they try to take the place of religion in this aspect, where you get taxed and you get taxed, and they provide for the orphans, they provide for the widows, and they don't allow a place for you, personal responsibility, to give to these people.
Yeah.
Like, and so it makes you feel like, oh, I don't have to do that because the government's taking over for me.
Which is his point, right?
Yeah,
that comes back to it. Is that one of Satan's tricks, right?
Right.
Like,
no, exactly. And I wish I could somehow get myself into government and change the system, but I know that's never going to happen. So,
bro, if Lauren Looper can get herself into government, you're probably all right. Is that her name?
Yeah, we've got some QAnon people in there now.
I mean,
you definitely.
I'm not a QAnon guy. Come on.
How does it feel?
Don't equate me with that.
No, but what I'm saying, Piano Man, is how does it feel to know that there are definitely Congress people that got themselves in that are way dumber than you? Like, and I don't say that to say that you're dumb. I mean, I think
that's sad.
I think you're extremely intelligent.
Give Preacher Paul a point.
But I'm just saying.
So
also everybody gets a point.
Does he get points?
No, he doesn't get points. He's the host. He's supposed to be in charge.
I'll take your point if
he wins every week.
Charity point.
So actually, I've actually had this conversation with my wife, who keeps me very centered and grounded with some of my crazy thoughts. Most of them get bounced off of her. Also, shout out to Nike for paying me to wear this shirt today.
Man.
Just
to hear some of the ideas you must have bounced.
I have bounced some ideas, but like we talked about that, and like we were like, would it be discouraging to? And this is such a weird way to say this, but like, would it be discouraging if we're visiting orphans with no intention of adopting them? But like, why would that be discouraging? We're still like, it's still good. I don't know.
But is the context of visiting meaning like making sure that the orphans of your congregation or the orphans of the people that you're around can be taken care of? Because that's one of the main arguments for people who are like pro-choice. They're like, well, you're a Christian, you're pro-life, but if somebody came to you and said, take my child, you wouldn't do it. And I think it's not necessarily like show up to the home and be like, hey guys, I'm going to read you a book. I think it's being more readily available for these children who need homes, which is part of the reason why.
Yeah.
I mean, it does just say visit. It doesn't say adopt them. But
anyone who reads it as visiting someone is like missing the point.
I mean, I don't think it is missing the point. I think there's good in both of these things. There's definitely good in both these things. There's a whole lot more good in both the things we're talking about than like literally just not doing it.
I'll be honest. Like I do, if I can. Like, I mean, I would like to adopt a kid at some point in my life because I sort of have this thing personally because I'm pro-life and I'm not like into abortion and stuff. That like that's kind of a way that I can maybe put my money where my mouth is. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if I can adopt a kid and give a kid a home, like, that's what we should do. And, like, I don't know if that's not going far enough, but I think about it all the time.
No,
I agree.
That's
I mean, like, so, like...
I think it
like,
does have
to that point, right? Like, what if you gave enough money on an annual basis that it would literally raise a kid, but somebody else has to do it? Like what you know, like what is the line, right? Like, oh, you can do it, or you can pay out that amount of money so someone else does it. Like
That's
it's
the
very
government thing.
exactly. It's very easy to convince yourself that what I'm doing is like this is what God wants, and we don't. I guess we don't. At the end of the day, we don't know the truly, but we kind of do. Like we kind of know. Like coming back to the beginning of this question, to not. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, if you take a big picture view of it, like everybody might have a different personal conscience about how you satisfy some of these things. But like, I think there are some things in the New Testament, like visiting orphans and widows, that when we read that, we just say, "Oh, well, that's an old-timey problem that they had then that I don't have to worry about now." But it's like, no, there are still orphans and widows, so it does still apply to you in some way. So, however you find to fill that command, I think it's hard for us because we coming from our tradition, we want to like have a very like ABC. How do I perform this thing? And that's not clear in that command. But it definitely is like one way or another, figure out how to do good.
We are so rich in America,
or widows, or generally people who.
Yeah, we are so rich in America that like our not necessarily individually, like everyone on this panel thinks this, but like as a group, our immediate reaction in America to a problem is let me start a fundraiser, right? It's let me throw money at this so I don't feel bad. And I just don't know. I'm not saying that is bad in and of itself, but
I think it is. Just not because it is bad, but because we've done that so many times that I have a problem with it. Like nobody ever takes personal responsibility, and that's what it comes down to for me. If you're only taking your money and giving it to someone, that's not personal responsibility. No matter how you try to tell me that it is, you have to do something yourself, or you're not fulfilling one simple thing.
Yeah,
it's the same concept of child support. Like, just be a good father.
Yes,
you know
exactly.
Right.
Like you don't need to give one penny to a kid to be a good dad.
And they'll probably resent you for it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
if you just only gave them money, a child would never say you were a good dad.
Yeah, all I was a check.
Yeah, I mean.
But it's better to be a check than not a check.
Is it though?
I don't know. I'm just kidding. I was trying to bring some lightheartedness.
Kid is kind of screwed either way, but kids need a real father, and they're not screwed, but they need a father.
They do need a father.
Well, we went kind of all over the place there, but I think we generally agreed. Yes, America is, and this is the way I wrote it on my sheet here: $2 for cross signs.
I mean, we literally think every problem we're just like, oh, let me give some money. So, like, I don't know. Like, it's not bad to give money to charity. This is something my wife and I have discussed this year. Like, hey, like, let's do something good. And there's a couple of charities. One she had in mind, one I had in mind. We want to do something for. But, like, that doesn't like, absolve me of my obligation that I am supposed to do something.
Right.
My wife tried to.
Right. It's like, and giving your money.
What did he say?
Oh, I said my wife tried to do this too, and I was like, no, we have to do something. But that's all right.
Did you do something?
Yeah, I mean,
me?
It's not like
it was her idea.
just that Jesus. He just had an idea.
I like that.
Boys, we've all got to, after this segment, we've all got to go do some community service or something to make it right. Like, yeah, I mean, I think that giving money to somebody, it's not like giving money to somebody is nothing. I mean, it means something, and especially if somebody actually needs money, then that can be a very helpful thing. But it's like, if you think about it on a personal level too, would you rather somebody give you $20 or somebody make you a $20 homemade meal? Like, I would rather have the meal because it's personal, because you get to share it with somebody.
Would you rather give somebody like
thing? It's not just
two
like
G's, or would you rather them
go
get the
spend.
FaceTime call from Dave Portnoy? I mean, I don't know. I don't
My
know.
favorite topic so far of our entire podcast.
All right. All right, so give me another
You did
point.
get very animated about
Favorite topic of all time.
it. Yeah. All right, you did kind of paint yourself in that corner, Piano Man. You kind of got to give JBM a point. All right, so we'll end with our lightning round.
All right, JBM's up by
this
one.
Is the chance
Let's
for,
go.
Anybody's game, boys.
Since Preacher Paul doesn't
JBM's
hand
up by
out
one,
points, now
but
it's
it is
my
anybody's.
burden
It's anybody's game, boys.
as like a biased person here. But you know me, I try to be too humble. No, I'm not gonna say that.
You already said it.
If there's one thing I've known Walker for, it's humility and.
Who's Walker, by the way?
Give me some credit for doing your job this week in creating the rapid fire section.
Piano Man.
Here, a point for Midnight Mark.
Thank you, Midnight Mark, who came up with the rapid fire questions this morning. All right, so rapid fire questions, and you have like 10 to 15 seconds to respond here, and we're moving on.
Hey, give me a point
Is
for
that
Midnight
too
Mark
long?
couldn't go
Less-
10 seconds on a topic if you paid him.
That's true. All right, we'll just as brief as possible. All right, first rapid fire question: if all food had to taste the same, what would you want
Avocado.
to eat? Piano Man, what's your answer? Avocado. Okay, Midnight Mark.
I would say hamburger. Or beef, I guess.
Okay.
I won this round. I'm getting a
JBM?
point. Waffles with syrup on them, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, I do have
It's
to say
not
JBM
close.
got that one.
Like,
Because here's the
y'all
thing.
pick bland
Hamburger is-
Sometimes like
taste.
syrup makes you
Here's the
feel
thing.
like
hamburger.
I gave him a point, but come on, avocado tastes way better.
Yeah, but okay, but it's just the taste though, and all your food have to deal with any of the consequences of eating real waffle
Sure,
and
it's
just
syrup.
be
You just have the
overwhelming.
waffle and
You're
syrup.
eating an apple, and you're like, this is amazing. Because it tastes like waffles. Like, what?
Avocado.
But
Avocado,
answers-
bro. If
of
all I
the
ate was
answers, the one I get
avocado,
the
I
least
would
is
literally,
avocado.
I would go jump off a bridge. What? Who wants to eat avocado all the time?
Honestly, it's just preference. So we can move on.
I mean, that's
I give a
true.
point to JBM. but
yeah, I don't.
I
get
like
it.
All right.
avocado myself.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I mean,
it's cool.
I don't not like avocado, but I'm not
like
just
how
sitting here
piano-
eating an
I like how-
avocado by itself every day.
I do.
I mean,
So you can,
more power.
I like how heated. Piano Man is getting in defense of his choice.
Hey,
it's really just
To
about
bring
taste.
this back to earlier today, I didn't like avocado or guacamole until I did keto, and now I love it. So it's good.
Shout out to Keto.
Midnight
Pay
Mark
us.
would give me a
Keto.
point.
That's true. Keto will give you an appreciation for it.
Wait, what? I don't like this. I think
So, we'll next rapid fire question: will America ever have the same unity it once
Can we
had?
define once had?
Yeah, I was about to say never
Midnight
had
Mark,
a
go ahead.
community.
Yeah,
Well,
that's the
kinda
part I
like-
don't know if.
I guess
Yeah, I
my
don't know
thought
if I
process
believe
was
that, but
like,
good.
even though people have disagreed politically forever, like there kind of has always there was the American dream, like people actually believed in that, and now there's literally an entire party that controls all three branches of government that believes that America is awful and never was a dream ever, and they all suck. And then you have the other side that's like, don't tread on me, you know? It's more broken today,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. JBM, what are your thoughts?
America, as it is right now, the country of the United States of America, no. Could the people that live here be more united? Yes.
Piano Man.
Yes,
Piano Man?
it will obviously be united because I'm going to be president one day. And I'm going to unite this country better than it's ever been united in its entire career.
Mute! Boo!
Why would you do that?
No. No, I'm giving a point to Piano Man there.
Why
Piano
is
Man
that
gets a
bad?
point. Piano Man for president.
I want to know why.
I mean, I had to
Piano
spend
Man
the
for
entire
president.
time explaining.
Piano Man for
The
president.
self plug. That's
No,
soft.
hold on. I honestly want to know why
Why did
I
you?
got booed as president.
Because
I like
you
it.
said
I
that
will
the
vote for
solution
you.
to the problem was just you being in charge.
I
Would
believe
Brad
in you.
Kennedy
True.
be your vice president?
It's not just me. I'm trying to say my belief system can go beyond me. And it
Wait,
can
wait,
unify-
wait.
it
So
won't be me.
you think
I'll start the solution.
you
That's
think
it.
America as is the this country as we stand right now can become more united? Or are you saying
with Piano Man.
I
at the
don't
helm
think this
and
is what
Elon
Piano
Musk
Man's
as his
saying.
VP,
I think
yes.
Piano Man is saying that this group of people can be more united than they currently are. But there is no way under the current United States government levels.
No, I didn't say that.
No.
I didn't imply that through my answer. though.
You're being.
I mean, my answer is once
Yeah,
once we
and
get
we're
to
gonna
the
put.
level of like belief that England has, like where like no one believes in religion anymore.
We don't need to be like England. I'm gonna tell you that for sure.
I'm
I'm
not
not gonna-
saying we did.
England's
I'm
like-
just the question is, will America have the same unity? Like we're like proud to be Americans again, like all of us. Like with the exception of the few outliers. My answer is yes. Like once we give up God, which
We'll
will happen.
Once Allah Akbar
No,
comes
no.
back to our shores.
That's the opposite of what I just said, but okay, we can move on.
So you're gonna accept more people.
This
Negative
this
points
this,
for Midnight Mark. Get him
This
out of here.
rapid fire question has broken down.
Oh my God.
so
All right, let's
fast.
rapid fire this. Give that man 1 point.
All right,
Subtraction by addition. I'm
next
just making
question.
stuff up. I don't even know.
Best all time children's book. JB,
Good Night Moon.
Best
Good
all-time
Night Moon.
children's book.
Done.
Good Night Moon.
Green
Okay,
eggs
Midnight
and
Mark.
him.
Old Mother Goose.
Yeah.
Is that even a...
All right, cool. Where the wild
I
things
like your
are.
answer way better, but you had time
Anyway.
to think about it.
He did have more time.
But we did a good job of doing the rapid
Good
fire,
Night Room
guys.
and
Let's
the
pat
Red
ourselves on the
Balloon.
back.
Good night, lady.
Good night moon is like
Uh,
good night cell phone now, right?
Good
Good night,
night to the old lady whispering, hush.
Hey, you guys saw the movie Room?
I read this book regularly, so
Yeah. Not even to his
just read
kid.
it by
What if he
myself.
was just like, I read this
I
book
get in
regularly,
bed,
and then
I
it
pull
just,
the book out.
just JBM's just in a corner, just he's got his like long piano pajamas on that have trains on them, and he's reading. Give a point to Midnight Mark just to make things interesting.
What?
Isn't even really
You
that
just
good,
can't give out points for no
Why
reason.
look at
rapid
this?
fire
One fish,
question
two
coming up
fish
here.
is so long, dude. Freaking green eggs and ham is like perfect.
I had the best answer. I didn't get a point. This is.
I
Midnight
actually
Mark.
agree with Preacher Paul, and Preacher Paul's the host.
I'm taking every legal.
3 out of 4 anyway.
We're storming
We
the
only got one
Capitol.
more.
Listen,
3 out of 4.
It's between us.
you're jumping JBM as per usual in competition.
Dude, I'm the one who gave
So
he should actually
last
have
question.
3, but I gave him 2 points for his question. So this is bullcrap anyway.
I should be up by 2. All right, whatever. I'm in.
It's almost like the points don't mean anything. Last rapid fire question, and this is a rapid fire question so good that I think it could be a regular question, but we'll just ask it this way and get short answers from everybody. But what is in a worse place? Which genre is in a worse place? Country music or rap music as of 2021? JBM, your thoughts?
Country music, I don't think it's close. Rap is ever evolving, and rap has significantly more stars.
Yeah.
Points
I
for
agree.
being
Midnight
short.
Mark, go ahead.
I mean, I would say from a music standpoint, the good country music artists right now, like Sturgill and Tyler and some of these other guys, are better than all of the rap. But I agree with JBM because rap continues to be irrelevant, and country is basically just Blake Shelton on TV now.
I think he's talking. Can y'all hear him? Okay. Well, my answer is country music, and because of the exact same reasons y'all already said. So, I think Preacher Paul's out, which is a really bad time for him to be gone. I don't know
That was
what
it.
he was going to say.
We're going to edit this.
He just cut out. But I really enjoyed the podcast.
We're never going to know who
I
won.
really enjoyed it.
If you're listening,
Tune
to this,
in next week to find out who won this episode.
Agreeing with the two, we all ended in a tie. Just how every good podcast would end. And if you're listening, please send your questions to magicintheatticpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter or social media at Magic in the Attic. We would really appreciate any question you send. Hopefully, I'm really hoping Preacher Paul jumps on at any point right now. But it doesn't sound like he's going to. Anything else you guys want to add?
Nothing.
Nothing to add here, boys. Good night. Oh, there.